But she's not, though. And half of the time in the story, she's actually making herself smaller to fit into baskets and boxes. So...
Oh, well, now I get it. Why other people?
Wait, yeah,
Whoa,
what?
That was crazy.
Wait, what?
What?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the animated manga podcast where we review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. My name is Josh Demon Michaels, and today, as always, I am joined by...
Megan, Tanjiro, Perrine.
Cody, like a hatchet decker.
Okay.
Okay.
Not bad. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Volume 1. Today we are discussing the one, the only, Demon Slayer, a.k.a. Kimetsu no Yaiba.
That was good.
Thank you. With its second season currently debuting as of this recording, and just the staple that it's become in anime and manga. We wanted to talk a little bit, not just about the first volume, but I wanted to speak for me personally about my experience with Demon Slayer, sort of how I came to find it, what my experience was watching it for the first time, and then, of course, later on, going through Volume 1 and comparing it, inevitably, I feel like, to the anime, because what the anime did to the manga in adapting it, I think, again, as we talked in our Attack on Titan episode, is another example of how an anime can really elevate its source material. But before I go too much into my feelings, Cody, Megan, what is your experience? What was your experience with Demon Slayer, and how do you feel about it as a whole?
Yeah, I saw the anime first, so and then I read the manga. I'm like, oh yeah, this is one where you would recommend the anime easily.
Mm-hmm. How far did you get in the anime?
I got to the part where the drum guy,
and
right. I was just like, I don't get what's happening, and I don't think this story is for me.
I have a theory, and I feel like we're all gonna kind of represent, as we do in lots of our episodes, different shades of the Demon Slayer fan base. Because I've seen a little bit more than Cody, and I feel like I might like it a little more, but I think out of the three of us, Megan has seen all of it and really, really likes it. So Megan, why don't you take it away and tell us your experience with Demon Slayer?
Yeah, so I mean, doing research again, looking back, it came out in 2019, which feels like forever ago.
The anime did.
Yeah, the anime. I was like, really? 2019? Because I feel like it's just been around for forever now. Like, I can't imagine like the anime space without it, like honestly, because it is such a staple now, especially. But yeah, I've seen all of season 1. I never read the manga, even before like the anime came out. You know, I knew about like certain manga getting adapted. I wasn't like a big manga head back in 2019, but I hadn't heard anything about this manga until the anime released. And I remember watching the first episode and being like, oh yeah, this is definitely for me, because it really hadn't been anything that I'd seen before, because I really wasn't into shonen as much as I am now at the time.
Further adding to the credence that you are, or giving credence to the fact that you are.
Yeah, I'm not denying.
And I wasn't even into it then. I did love this immediately. And
I wasn't. I'm not denying it anymore. I'm not a shonen denier anymore, because there are a lot of series that I've come to know and love as of recording. Imagine I just like next year I'm like, oh, I hate it. But I could totally see how it could, be interpreted as like, oh, this is like a hero's journey type, like classic shonen, like power-ups and emotional characters, and like their stories are kind of like, oh yeah, I've seen this. But for whatever reason, like this anime just really resonated with me, because I think I was so excited to see like, oh, this is the new beginning. Like, this is the next chapter for anime as a whole. Like, all this animation, all this 3D mix, like, it just excited me to see what was to come for anime in general. And I think that's why it really took me by surprise when I first watched it.
Yeah, when you reminded me that the anime hadn't come out until 2019, it did shock me as well. The manga came out in 2016. But it does feel like you can't talk about anime and manga now without talking about Demon Slayer. My experience with it, though, was kind of different. Not much time has passed since the recording of this episode, but since its recording, I have completed Demon Slayer Season 1. I have rode the Mugen train, entered the entertainment's district, and seen the light. And if you are interested, there will be a title card somewhere up here and a link in the description below to a live stream where I explain how I came to this awakening. But until then, all that's left to say is total concentration apology technique, 5th form. Thank you and enjoy the episode. I'm a demon head now, by the way. I love it. I sort of decided and made the decision to watch it during the pandemic, during quarantine. And at the time, I was binging a lot of series that I had felt like I had missed out on. And to list some examples, I guess it would be things like Death Parade. It would be things like even, catching up on AOT or catching up on Mob or catching up on even like other slice of life like Fruits Basket. So I felt like I was really watching, in my opinion, the cream of the crop when it came to anime. So when I came around to finally watching Demon Slayer, because I grew up, I am and always have been a shonen guy. I grew up watching Naruto. I grew up watching Bleach. I grew up watching, I had just come off Hunter x Hunter too, I think. When I watched Demon Slayer for the very first time, it didn't grab me like it seemed to grab so many other people. And for a while, I was very confused as to what people were really seeing in this series. Not to take away from the animation. The animation, of course, I think you'd have to be an insane person to not at least admit that regardless of story or character, that the animation is beautiful. This studio really, they clocked in when they made this series, when they adapted this series. They went to work, and it shows, like you said, a beautiful blend of 3D and just the scenery, and a lot of times like elevating the stakes as well, and the emotional moments, feeling, and the score, the music, really feeling, just really giving more and making it feel more intense. But it does remind me of things that I had seen before, like series like Claymore and series like Naruto. And I don't want to take away from Demon Slayer because I want to be there with everybody else, really in it. But it reminds me of a lot of other shonen in its formula and how it does seem to go beat by beat in comparison to those other stories.
Yeah, that's what, like, I give every anime like 2 episodes. And like, I was like, yeah, this looks amazing. But like, the story like didn't, I'm like, this is the movie was like the biggest movie in like the world for
Dude, it broke worldwide records. And that was during the pandemic when people weren't even going to the movies as much as they are regularly or were regularly.
Yeah, it wasn't like with Black Clover. I went like, what the heck? How do people love it? I'm like, let me skip ahead. This was just, I was like, okay, yeah, I just won't. This just is not for me. But like, I didn't even hate it. I was just like, that looks cool. I just don't. And then like, I don't know. Yeah, I like you see like those designs, like especially in manga. Like, wow, do you like? I just keep thinking that you must like regret like drawing like complicated patterns for outfits.
Kimonos, yeah.
Every panel's got to be that now.
Yeah.
I can't like his earring is like the flag, and like you have to draw that every single time now.
It's funny because reading the Naruto manga, there was even an author's note where he said he wanted Naruto to have goggles, but realized very quickly like it was way too much to draw in every panel, so he changed them to those headbands.
Oh,
so that they were just easier to draw and faster for him to draw than goggles.
That's a shame because goggles are cooler.
Yeah. And Naruto did still have goggles in the very, very, very beginning, but it was like for the first chapter, and then that's it. So it was his, like, I think he was still able to do it just for him. And then after that, he's like headbands only.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, Cody, it's undeniable because it broke worldwide records.
But like, especially reading the manga, because like the anime, like it elevated everything, including the story and pacing. So like reading the manga, I'm like because I think there's a couple of parts where the pacing is like off, and then the anime is like, because I saw that first, I'm like, oh, I thought that was like good pacing. And read the manga, I'm like, oh, this, like, I don't know, I just like this was the most popular thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that kind of going back and reading the manga, which I had never done, was a little more enjoyable for me. I don't know why necessarily. I do think the art is great. I think it's unique. I think that the art in the anime is is a much more stylized version. The varying line weights that sort of outline the characters, obviously with their decision to make those special moves, sort of this traditional Japanese looking water, or just the fluidity of it all. But I really enjoyed the manga a lot. Like, maybe because for me, I could get through it faster, and I don't want to say get through it in a bad way, but I don't know.
I mean, because the beginning is pretty typical.
Mhm.
So in the manga, I don't know, that thing I hear where, like, especially with I'm gonna use Black Clover as like the thing where I'm like, I think that was like bad. Demon Slayer, I'm just sort of like, people like this and I'm just not a part of that world.
Mhm.
Where it's just like, people are like, oh, like Black Clover had to do all those things to tell their story. And then in the manga, they kind of like skip past like the thing. In the anime, they give more time with it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, like here's him like walking through the village and talking a little bit more before like the plot happens.
Yeah. Megan, you had kind of spoke to the fact that when Demon Slayer came out, when you watched Demon Slayer, you had never, because you had mostly watched Slice of Life up until that point, that you had never really seen anything like it, so that might be a factor in why you took to it so quickly.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, I think for sure that has a lot to do with it. Because at that point, I mean, even now, I've only watched a little bit of Naruto, and I wouldn't even consider that watching Naruto.
Yeah.
But it is like crazy because, like going into it and not being a shonen person, or not really thinking that I was one, or denying it. I don't know where I was. But it really took me by surprise at how much I liked it, because I saw, like the cover, and I was like, okay, shonen type fighting stuff, not really my cup of tea. And then I watched the first episode, and it's so funny how I think I'm just blinded by like the predictability of Demon Slayer now. I'm just like, I could have seen that coming, but I maybe choose not to, just because the characters in the world really like immerse me into it. And I do like how they're kind of like vampire type like creatures, and how they have like what is it?
Immortality.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't speak.
Immortals.
Immortal immortals.
Immoral.
Yeah.
Immoral
Yeah.
immortals.
That's good. I like that.
Oni.
All right, cool.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so I don't know. I saw the signs in the first episode. It still took me by surprise. It still like made me care about these characters. It made me want to see their journey, and like it just really touched me, I think. And I kept watching, and there are moments where I even was like, okay, like I'm kind of like, okay, let's get to the next episode. I was watching it like pretty much live, like as they were coming out per week. So waiting each week. Just waiting and being like, okay, like that was kind of
for me. I mean, again, Demon Slayer is its own thing, but for me, it reminded me a lot of Claymore, which I think is a fantastic series. If you haven't seen it and you like Demon Slayer, I can say and almost guarantee that you'll enjoy Claymore. And I don't mean that it's very close to Naruto at all, especially with its pacing. I think Demon Slayer is very much faster paced than Naruto. Naruto does lag a lot, but I do see these similarities in score, and that early Naruto score, Sadness and Sorrow, those kind of like really those songs that really pull at your heartstrings. And in some of the designs of some of the characters, but I had series to compare it to, and maybe that's why I again might have fell victim a little bit to hype, which I know, Cody, you don't ever really give any sort of weight to, which I would like to do.
Like hearing you talk, like I because I am not as into like the community as you guys are, so like that perception even of just like, is this the next part of the big three, and like how you're like, is it like, I think from what I understand, like that's like in the community, that's like, and now we're entering the next stage of this, and I don't even share that. I'm not even a part of that perspective.
Yeah, it wasn't
as a negative to me. I'm not trying to.
No,
yeah, and it is like a big, like I didn't really give what time is it? Am I past the?
Go ahead.
I didn't really give a shit about the big.
Oh yeah,
three.
we just passed it.
I didn't give a shit about
Heck
it.
yeah.
I knew it was a thing. I knew that they were important. Never watched any of them, so I wasn't like in my mind like Demon Slayer is gonna be the big next three. Like it was just like, oh, this is what anime is going to be and become.
Okay.
Like that's like the new the new like cream of the crop,
Echelon.
the new echelon. The new echelon of what anime is and what anime is going to be, and it just like excited me. I was so pumped because I wasn't really in action, and then I'm like, "This is amazing! I would watch every action anime if it looked like
It's
this."
definitely worth it just to look at the animation, and like the way everything's pulled. I think like even if like there are definitely things that are like, so it's gonna happen this way. You are like it's pulled off pretty well, and it's like it's not like the main character isn't what's the guy's name from Black Clover?
Oh, Asta.
He's not annoying. Like he does seem like just like a likable protagonist, and then like the goal isn't to become the number one thing. It's to like help out like this. And I'm like that's like a good your personal spin on the shonen story.
But to that point, and I think that's where I did start to check out from this series. Tanjiro is a great protagonist with a great motivation, but he's surrounded by characters to me that are a bunch of Astas. I mean, he's surrounded by, Zenitsu is
Zenitsu, Inosuke.
And Inosuke, who's the warthog head guy.
Yeah, I didn't get to.
And the lightning guy, who are literally, and I am sure there are people who love them, and I'm sure if I continued to watch, I would find a love for them too. But to me, at the time, were the most obnoxious characters. They, we talk and joke about how Asta screams everything he says, but these two characters, and there's two of them, they do it all the time.
You know what? I think I did I think I got to the part where they just meet the warthog guy.
Yeah.
And that wasn't like the thing that made me go like, and I'm done. But I don't know. There was a state on the final part that I saw. I eventually went like, yeah, I'm good. I gave it the fairest shot I could give it.
Yeah,
and I'm out.
I mean, even for me, like they were annoying. Like I remember watching this. Like I watched all of it, or I was watching it up to a point, and I was like, Marco, like to my brother, like you have to watch Demon Slayer. It's amazing. And then Marco got into it, and then we're watching it together. And then I was like, Dad, you gotta watch Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And then my dad started watching it, and he even said like, yeah, it's pretty hard to get through because of Zenitsu, that guy, that crying guy. And I'm like, yeah, and definitely like they do grow on you, and you kind of just like I kind of disregard it. And I'm like, oh, it's anime. Like these characters exist in this realm of I've seen this before. It's annoyed me, but I've gotten through it, and I'm able to persevere through the story because of it. They do get great moments. Like I said, like I was watching Mugen Train, and at the end of Mugen Train, I mean, great movie. If you haven't seen it, if you like Demon Slayer, watch it. Obviously, I have some issues with it, but I watched it in theaters with my dad and my brother, and even after it, I was like, yeah, no, like I really didn't like Zenitsu, and I kind of like him a little more now. He's a little more tolerable, and I definitely felt that way with Inosuke. Like totally, like he kind of got redeemed for me in the movie way more than I ever thought I would be attached to these characters, because they do grow together, and that's what makes them kind of tolerable, because they are trying to be better versions of themselves.
Sure.
But yeah, I could totally see how it could turn you off from the series, especially where you were at and where you guys ended.
Because I watched 18 episodes. But what were you gonna say, Cody?
No, just I don't is like because from what I've seen, Nezuko is like the sort of the mascot of the series.
Yeah.
Do people like is Tanjiro, is he considered a strong written like protagonist? Like is he like, because he is like pleasant, but I didn't really get like a sense of like I like know even like beyond like doing like hero decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what is, I didn't get like it. Do people like I love him and because also I see like people talk about the warthog guy.
Yeah.
I don't really see conversations about the main character.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I mean, he is just like a good guy. His motivation, he's kind as a character. That kind of like bites him in the ass sometimes, like taking these Oni into consideration, or like thinking of them as like people, which is like not what you should be doing, especially where like the field that he wants to go into. But it's interesting because he just like, majority of shonen, like you get introduced to a character, but there's like an underlying thing about them that you don't know or don't find out till later. I didn't finish the second season, first episode. It's like an hour long. I'm like halfway through, but there's some like things that they're hinting at that are really interesting. And it will add to his character, obviously, because of where they're trying to get to or what he's trying to become. But I do like his character decisions. I don't disregard them as like, oh, he's just too nice. It's like, no, he's just trying his best for someone that he cares about. And like going through the story, like seeing Nezuko the way she is and like the constant reminder of like what happened that day and like what she is like an actual like representation of like what destroyed his like life. So it's really interesting to see his motivations in that sense. Like,
yeah. And again, not to go back too much, and we can start getting into it after this, but I want to see how you maybe feel about it, Cody, having not seen Claymore, right? You haven't seen it, I don't think.
No.
You know, there is a scene, and they are entirely different scenes, but similarly, there are these demon vampire creatures that can either eat or turn humans into one of them. And there's a similar-ish scene in the first episode of Claymore and Demon Slayer where Tanjiro goes back and sees what happened to his family, and another character in Claymore goes back and sees what happened to a member of his family. But in that, in the opening scene of Claymore, or in the first episode, how it's shown is that his family member isn't turned completely yet, similar to Nezuko. But I think where Nezuko ends up like being able to control it, this character is very much like gone. And how they show that is that the voice, it doesn't even look like his family member anymore, but the voice will modulate between like this demonic voice, and then it will start fucking with him, and it'll start talking in his brother's voice. But it'll say
like a deadite.
Like a deadite, yeah. But also it also won't like try. It's not trying to trick him into thinking that his brother's still in there.
It's just bad at impressions.
Well, that would be funny.
Oh, brother.
It's just telling him like it's just telling him that like he's gone, but like he's really just like messing with him. He's not giving him hope that his brother's still in there somewhere. Like he's like, your brother's gone, and then he'll just do it at times to like again like really hurt him. And I just think when I remember seeing that and even going back and watching it, I'm like, wow, I really felt something in that moment. And when Tanjiro comes back and sees his family the way that they are, I don't know if it was supposed to hit me really hard, but it didn't. It just felt like this is what this character needs to start his journey.
I feel like the anime, they kind of, that's why unless I'm confusing with something else, the anime like gave you a little bit more time with the family.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the anime gave that like shaky cam shot.
Yeah.
And then like a close up of the eyes, where they're like face down, like, what? And then in the manga, I feel like he just like looked at it and went, what? Oh, Nezuko, you're here.
Yeah, it was very much like that. Like even when he's walking through the snow with her, like the angles and the music and the intensity is so much, like it's so heightened in the anime. Like reading it, I was just like, okay, he's sad. He's sad about that.
Yeah.
Like it felt very like, I mean, obviously
like,
reading it for the first time, it might be different than like watching the cinematic masterpiece and then going back to the manga.
I don't know what it is. I like the manga more.
Even seeing, I don't know, like even see like his face is in the manga. Like when he like, it didn't look like he was like devastated. It looked like, oh.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like the panel where he like sees his family, he's like, and maybe, oh man.
And maybe that's why I did like the manga more, because it maybe the anime maybe felt a little too heavy-handed. Like it was being very clear about what it was trying to make me feel and what emotions it was trying to shove down my throat. And with the not to say that that's a bad thing, it's beautiful. Especially you get a sense for the environment, hearing the snow crunch, like it feels cold. I mean, it's so well done. But in the manga, I could take it as I wanted to take it and give it the weight that I felt it deserved to get, and then move on. And with the anime, it's like, no, cry. And I was just like, let's go. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You guys want to go through it a little bit beat by beat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it does open up around this point where we do meet Tanjiro and his family, and they're a happy family that live up in the mountains.
They're charcoal makers.
Yeah.
Which, you know what charcoal is?
What?
It's
coal.
Wood.
Oh, it is wood.
Oh.
It's like you burn it in a way that it like, because charcoal is the stuff that you can crumble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And it's wood that's like burned in a very specific way in like a hut.
Do you ever get like the urge to like bite one?
No.
Well, if you activate it, it's very good for your teeth.
Because it's like
What?
so crunchy. Like I bet the texture would feel awesome.
Yeah.
You get the urge often?
Yeah, every
They should
time I
make
see it,
candy.
I actually want to just take a bite.
Candy charcoal's not a bad idea.
Well, you guys can start working on that.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe would it taste like licorice?
Maybe.
Well-
We'd have a flavor called char-cola.
And now, can I get back in?
No. are
No,
already
you're
out.
already,
You're already
out.
out.
We know
You
who the
don't-
real ones are now.
You don't get to
okay?
jump in once you
Yeah.
hear the A material.
Yeah, once you hear the good stuff.
I believed in it from the beginning.
No, you
You
didn't.
could not be more against anything.
Tanjiro and his family, they either make it or sell it, charcoal, and happy family, live in the mountains.
Yeah, we see early on pretty much he's like the man of the house. He's like the oldest brother. We find out that his dad's dead.
I don't know why I laughed. I have no idea why my reaction was laughing.
It was like kind of crazy when like you're meeting all the family and he's going into town and like the brother and sister are like, oh, take us with you, and he's like, no, I'm sorry, but I'll come back later. Obviously, rereading that, I was like, but when he goes to talk to Nezuko, he's like, yeah, I had to put your little brother down to sleep. He's just lonely since dad died. I'm like, they couldn't have just revealed that in a better
More
way.
organic.
Yeah,
That's
like
where-
he's just sad because dad's dead.
Yeah.
The beginning feels a little like let's
Let's
hit
go.
these.
Yeah.
Let's
and
go.
This is what I was thinking. I'm a little bit more prelim. I'm sorry, but
No,
like
yeah, go
that
ahead.
whole thing where it's like in every fantasy setting, you look for how they're going to do lightsabers. Fire Force has their own version of lightsabers.
Yeah.
Arthur's
In every
sword.
fantasy, like there's nothing wrong with having the doomed hometown as
Mhm.
long as they do it in a creative way.
Mhm.
Like that's the thing where you're like, well, how are you going to do it?
And again, like I don't want to act as if I, am on some like storytelling high horse. But I mean, when you say going back and reading that made it feel or hit even harder, like from the moment that those characters open their mouths, I've just seen so many fantasy stories or so many stories like this where I'm like, I know this person is going to die a horrible death.
I mean,
without a doubt. Like
saying like, oh, look how lovely my sister is and my family, we all love each other, and our dad's dead, and anyway, I have to leave the town. You're like,
And again, I was just blinded. I don't know what it was. I was just in it. And they even like spoil it in the beginning of the manga and the anime where he's like walking with Nezuko and there's something went wrong. And I still bought it. Or maybe I knew a hint of it, as he like the, Oni and all this stuff. That's when I started. I was like, okay, yeah, it's going to get bad. Maybe it was just her. I didn't know. But that reveal, obviously, I was like,
yeah.
What was the bit where like he like goes out to town to go sell that old guy some charcoal, and he's like, "You gonna stay here because demons are out at night," which was a bit where you're like, well, everyone would know that, right?
But he doesn't believe in demons.
What?
In the manga, I'm positive that they said this in the anime too, but I just don't remember it being as upfront as it felt like it was in the manga. But he was like, Tanjiro was like, yeah, I mean, people believe in demons. My grandma wouldn't shut up about demons, but I've never seen one. I mean, I don't know that they exist. I don't think that they exist.
yeah. And if you're not like, obviously they exist in the world, but if you're not in that like world, like the demon corps are, like the people fighting them, like you would just be like, oh yeah, so and so, yeah, they never came back from the woods or something. It would be more of like a unsaid. Like if you're immersed in it, obviously they're a thing, but if you're not, everyone's just like kind of living their lives until maybe they see one or maybe they get involved in one. Because they are kind of far and in between.
Yeah, small town, isolated.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, and even when
A town so small, no one would ever attack it.
is what they want you to think. And even when they do get attacked, Tanjiro's first instinct is like, oh, this is a bear did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still not even.
I mean, that still happens now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bear or like a lion just got into a village. Like, yeah, that'll do it.
Except your sister
Yeah.
doesn't turn into like a half bear. or
No.
No, unless
anything. Unless
the prophecy is finally fulfilled.
And we do get like a little tidbit about like his kind of like ability, like how he has like a super sense of smell, like in the town. And he's like, oh, smell this. Like I didn't break it. I need to let them know. And it's like, oh, it's a cat. And they're
Yeah,
like,
I
"Oh,
smell a
great."
cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I smell a cat in our midst.
Yeah. I don't hate that. I mean, I remember watching the anime the
Yeah.
first time and thinking like,
Yeah, you're like, okay. All right.
yeah, and thinking
Yeah.
like, okay, all right. But it didn't piss me off.
No,
No.
I'm just,
Yeah.
like you give everything the leeway of like I assume that's some
Yes.
ancestral ability.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
it's going to benefit him in some way
Yeah.
Yeah.
down the road. He's
There
going
are-
to need that.
There are, and I reading it, I'm like, I think smelling is just his way of saying what it's actually happening. Because at one point he's like, I can smell it from the ground. I'm like, I don't know if smell's the right word.
Well, I mean, I think I mean, maybe he can smell it from the ground. Maybe he can smell the ground. I don't know. I just think he's
Ground control?
Major
To
Tom
Major
over-
Tom?
yeah.
to Major Tom.
Major Tanjiro.
Oh my
There
God.
it is. I was really scared.
Yeah, that was, but it came together right at the end.
right at the
On
buzzer.
the
yeah. But yeah, he smells this broken dish. He says a cat did it. Which having a cat, I could tell you, they smell.
Yeah. The studio having a cat box next to where we record, I can confirm that.
In a world where that
We have a
might
studio cat.
exist,
The studio
A
cat.
Yeah.
studio cat.
Yeah.
Montis.
came with the studio.
Yeah.
This fancy studio. But yeah, so you get a sense for Tanjiro in that he is a people of this village. They love him. They trust him. He's a good guy. He just wants to help everybody out. And that's why this old man tells him like, hey man, don't go up back into the mountains. It's too dangerous. It's too late. You're going to get eaten by demons. He's like, I don't believe in demons. You sound like my grandma. But he stays anyway and goes back home the next morning to find his family completely massacred. Which again, like, why would he leave? If that wasn't going to happen, then why set up in the very beginning him leaving?
There's like a webcomic I saw where it's just like it's just called like every RPG, and then it's just like you do like 2 side quests where you're like, oh, can you go fetch me 3 apples by the tree, and then it's like you have to go out of town for 1 mission. Then they come back, the NPC just goes, you will never guess what happened.
It's so funny too, because imagine if Demon Slayer opened up the exact same way that it opened, but Tanjiro came back and everything was fine. I don't think there'd be much of a story to tell. But he gets back there, and in the manga, they are still pretty massacred. I think in the anime, they linger a little bit more on shots of his younger siblings bloodied and beaten. And he sees Nezuko on top of her, or face first in the snow, but later
Shielding.
he finds out on top of their little brother,
Mm-hmm.
which did not survive. That like
No.
it did like that
Did
did
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, she tried.
Yeah, you get points,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's just a game where something like that happened. I don't know. Like
Well-
you play a parent, and your kid is about to. This is a video game, and your kid is about to get hit by a car, so you dive to like block a truck,
hmm
and you wake up in the hospital. Yeah, the kid died.
I mean, at least you tried.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, yeah,
She tried.
She tried. Everybody's dead. Tanjiro freaks out. Nezuko is still kind of alive, but is
Yeah, he says she's like warm, and if he can get back to the village in time, like he could probably save her. And he's just like, she's on his back, and he's trying to help his sister because she may or may not be
Just trying to help a sister out.
trying to help a sister out.
Yeah.
You were looking for the opportunity to say that.
Yeah, I already had it locked
Yeah.
and loaded, and I was waiting. But sometimes it's just about just being aggressive and taking your shot.
Yeah.
See it. Yeah.
Like a demon.
Okay.
Yeah, she turns into some sort of vampiric, demonic creature and tries to attack him. And Tanjiro is saved by, I always forget this guy's name,
Gyu.
Gyu. And he is one of the most badass looking characters I have seen yet.
Yeah, he's awesome. Like, people
Series.
like put like
Oh, in
Gyu.
the series.
Yeah.
Who like Gyu, the guy from Chainsaw Man, and then Aki, because they're just like black hair, like
Yeah,
badasses. Yeah, daddies.
Oh, the guy from Jujutsu, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not Gojo.
No. But
Yeah,
the dog
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Those guys aren't daddies. Those are those are
Sunnies.
Those are the
Aki's-
shadows.
Aki's-
Sunnies.
Those are shadows of the world, or maybe Sunnies would be one.
Yeah, shadows of
Sunnies.
the world. But Aki is daddy.
No,
yeah,
no.
I would agree. Aki is daddy.
He's
Thank
older
you.
brother. Kishibe's.
But I mean,
Kishibe is like
at least
Grampy.
Aki is Zaddy with a Z then.
Zaddy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better.
I mean, I guess it's better, but I'm less
Yeah.
comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. But yeah, Gyu, I
What,
believe.
what does zaddy mean? Is that a term?
It's just like it's like Poppy, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now I'm
Zaddy.
back. Okay. All right.
Yeah. He's dope. Yeah, Nezuko's fighting him. I did like in the anime, but in the manga too. I think they did it obviously in the manga. Yeah, when she can like change her like form, like she can get big, and that was cool to see her just like really using that Oni ability. You could say,
What could you say?
she calls Tanjiro Oni-chan now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it doesn't really make sense because Tanjiro's not the Oni; she's the Oni.
Why'd you pause so long before you said it?
Because I wanted the delivery I wanted you guys to get my jokes because lately you haven't been. So I
No,
wanted to
we've
make
been-
sure.
We've been getting them.
I wanted to really make sure
That's
that it was a
not-
joke, you know?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's just maybe
Tony?
squeezing in that we didn't get them a little too much.
Yeah.
Trying to get by on that one.
Too many airplanes.
Yeah.
Meow.
I feel like you've been meowing yourself more.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But that was a good one.
Thank you.
That was really good.
I was proud of it.
Yeah. And I think that if you had more confidence in the delivery of that one.
Like, couldn't she call him like Oni-san or Oni-san or something?
Oni-chan is the
That's for brother?
that's for older brother, yeah.
But what's for sister?
Oni-san is older,
One.
right?
Oni-san is older. No.
The
Oni-chan
joke's still
Yeah,
good.
yeah. One-san would be sister. He would call her One-chan. One, but it's not Oni. Because Oni is demon. One.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I get
yeah.
that part. I'm
You know, when you explain a joke,
I shouldn't have
it's like
explained
dissecting
it.
a frog.
what happens?
You understand how it works.
What?
But the frog dies in the process.
The frog's already dead.
But it's just like I think
By
what I'm
definition,
saying-
dissecting is post-death.
I think what I'm saying like has like a really deep meaning.
Oh.
Oh.
And so if you
yeah,
just kinda-
yeah, Josh, that was really riveting.
right,
you're back.
all right. That's good. Yeah, Gyu shows up. Gyu's badass. He's cool. He tells Tanjiro he's part of the Demon Slayer corps, whatever, core. He has to, it's his job to take out Nezuko, but he realizes that there's something, or senses that there's something different about them because Tanjiro obviously wants to protect his sister, has no idea what's happening to her. And when he does try to defend her and Gyu goes after him, Nezuko protects him.
And this is what kind of sold me too. Like I hadn't really seen anything about the character before because I was like really good at spoilers and I didn't want to know anything because like if you knew what like if you go into Demon Slayer knowing Nezuko is this way, it's kind of just like okay, like
There
it
goes
kind of
all
ruins
the
it.
emotional impact.
Yeah, totally. So that kind of sucks for because it's so big now. But that moment when she like defends him and you realize like oh she's not just like a demon, like she's not just gonna be like a character that he has to kill to like continue on, which it would have been kind of cool.
That could have been cool too.
If
Yeah.
he had a killer.
Yeah. That could have been
A little tragic element there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like
Could've
a
really-
vampire. I mean, he can't really do anything. If she wasn't conscious, then he would have had to kill her.
Yeah, it does seem like she's got a little bit of her faculties left.
Faculties.
You don't
Is
like
that
that
a
word?
term?
You don't like it? Yeah.
Faculties?
You've never heard?
Is that like the bathroom?
Well, I mean,
That's
faculty-
facilities.
Yeah, is maybe you would call like the faculty at school, maybe, but
The school faculty.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That is a weird word. Now that you
Yeah,
got-
it is.
yeah,
That's
you-
why I was like, huh?
But faculties is
Yeah, we get
And
oh no,
maybe-
here comes the school faculty.
well, just the word.
yeah, now
is-
the
yeah.
more yeah.
Hello, the school faculty will be meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Please don't be late.
To the faculty
to the faculty.
meeting. It is a weird word.
Don't forget to hit the facilities
On your
before
way
the
to the
meeting.
faculties. Hit the
Faculty.
facilities and we'll go to the faculty.
Anyway, he realizes that there's something different about them. And when Tanjiro decides to defend Nezuko and attack Gyu, or did I say that right?
Mhm.
He does a clever maneuver where he realizes that there's no way he can defeat this skilled swordsman. So he kind of throws some rocks at him to distract him while he goes in for a kill, hiding what is his hatchet arm behind him to conceal the fact that he's thrown his hatchet above.
That was awesome.
And I think the impact that that's supposed to have is that Tanjiro, with that attack, was planning on dying, but in the process of dying was also hoping he was going to be able to take him out too. So it is showing that he is willing to sacrifice himself to protect his sister, and clever enough to do something that might also be able to take his enemy out. So that's a good way of showing.
And then he gets the classic shonen response when an older person sees the main character and they go, "This kid."
Yeah. Something's different about this kid.
Something's different.
This kid might be the one.
I mean, yeah. I want to fight you on it, but yeah.
I don't know. It's the shonen, there's a shonen Shadows there, and then there's the shonen this kid ... and then they look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the interword.
But
for that world.
to your what you had said before, to your point, it's not that he's just trying to be the best. It wasn't like you're the one that's going to save us all. It was like, oh, you're the one who can audition to be.
Yeah. Which I like. I really like that. It's just like because his premise is like, okay, well, no, there's no cure for this, but I guess if you were gonna try, you'd have to go here. And that, like, it's his motive isn't like, the demons wiped out my village and I'm going to kill all demons.
Yeah.
It's not even to kill all the demons. It's just to, like, cure his sister.
Yeah, exactly. Or to, like, help other people in the process. But yeah, I like that it's like a testing type way to be a part of these demon corpse people, instead of just being like, you're really good, we're just going to put you in. Like, no, they have to go through.
I have issues with that testing ground.
Testing ground.
The one that they go to at the end of the volume? Or
Yeah.
The one? Okay.
I'm just like, I don't think that's an efficient way of recruiting people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a battle to the death. It's a battle royale, pretty much.
I'm curious to see exactly what your problems with it are, because there's one thing that I have a slight issue with, and I wonder if it's the same thing. But
it's not like a story. It's not like in universe.
No, yeah,
it's
that's
not
what I
my
mean.
problem. It's just like I'm like outside. I'm like, it's just like that's how you train. Like that's you wasted recruits there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it's not efficient. Yeah, and yeah, we'll get there. But so we meet this guy, or I don't. Okay, actively not spoiling anything. We meet this guy Gyu.
Okay, so you say that, and now we know that there's something there,
but you don't know what. I'm just saying I don't think it's a secret that this guy.
Okay, no, don't start saying it. What?
Okay, fine.
So the guy.
It's not the last time you're going to see him. How about that?
That's the most you can say.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Fantastic.
And moving on, he sends him to his old. Was this someone who trained him, or is this someone he knows to be a
I
trainer?
think he just knows him. I don't think he trained him.
And that guy, his name is I am going to butcher his name too. Ura Kodaki,
The Goblin Man.
the guy with the red mask and the long nose. And he is an old man that is living in the mountains, and he sends Tanjiro there, and he says, give him this letter of recommendation. Basically, he's going to train you. He's going to tell you what's up. He's going to show you the way of the demon slaying, and maybe that there'll be some hope for your sister. And when he gets there, again, not too harp on this story, but when he gets there, the mentor is very, what you would expect an old hermit mentor to be. I don't want to train you, and if I do train you, you're not going to like it. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, you're not good
just
enough.
Showed me,
yeah.
and now I will train you.
Exactly.
I did like the progression of it, though. Like, when you find out how long he's been actually training for, it was like pretty much like 2 years. A year and a half, and then when the other thing happened, it was like 6 months in or whatever. He had to train for 6 months.
That's where I had an issue with the pacing, because it felt like, that montage was like, and they're like, and it's 2 years. I'm like, what? It's been 6 months. I'm like, oh, okay. It felt like we're skipping training.
Yeah, for sure. And even in the manga, they don't really stay on it for too long either.
Yeah, but I think that's a result of so many other training arcs or montages. This mangaka, this creator, was just wanted to breeze past that. The interesting things don't happen here, so let's just jump past it.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like, especially because the main character doesn't. I mean, his motive doesn't change either. But they're like, it's 2 years. I'm like, he looks and talks exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, his hair's a little longer.
Oh,
He
okay.
did have to cut his hair, and even like Saito, one of the Fox mask people.
Oh,
He even says like,
Sabito.
oh well, like now you look like a man. Like 6 months later, now you're finally. Because he says like, oh, you don't look like a man, and then like later he's like, oh, you finally look like a man.
Yeah, which that training montage where he's having to go up and down the mountain and dodge all these booby traps is fun and cool. And we get to see, especially in the anime, I think it's done really, really well in the anime. And we're, seeing Tanjiro grow and being able to use this thread that he can smell. He can smell things and then see a thread appears, and the thread is pointing to or connected to the weak spot or the kill spot. And when he can envision that, it becomes taut and he can go in for the kill. We see this becoming his method of killing or being able to in the future slay demons. But the highlight of all of this for me, and when I was watching the anime, when I thought, this is what people are talking about when they talk about Demon Slayer, this is why people love this so much, was with Sabito and Makomo. The two of them and their little mini arc story here was so well done and so impactful, and speaking to things feeling like they are paint by numbers at times. This threw me for a loop, and I had no idea that this reveal was going to be what it was. So I had so much faith in the series after that moment, but then it just didn't feel like it had a moment like that again for a long time.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I like those characters more than I like the main characters.
Yep, absolutely. And that's like crazy.
And yeah, this isn't a nip. I'm just like, I feel like I remember there being another story where it's like, you have to cut this boulder in half.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we read it recently too.
Yeah, because it's like it can't be done. Like your mental state is at risk because you just like discourage yourself because you can never do it, but there's always a way.
I do like he's immediately like, well, the sword will break if I hit it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, that doesn't change if you breathe differently.
Yeah. And Megan was also saying that the breathing techniques reminded her of something too, but we couldn't figure it out. And I think breathing techniques, are
maybe in
JoJo?
Maybe in JoJo, or maybe it was
Fist of the North Star.
Fist of the North Star. I think it might have been Fist of the North Star too. But that's like a real thing in real life. Like you can like build
you can
strength.
slice boulders with
No,
katanas.
not
Yeah.
that.
No,
Well,
you
you
have
can.
to believe.
No, you can.
Yeah,
It's,
you can.
The breathing technique is like a thing. Like you can get really strong from just like learning how to breathe properly. It's pretty nuts.
Oh yeah, they talk about it a little bit. Like he grew up in mountains too.
Mm-hmm.
So the air's thinner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then he also trained. He grew up in a mountain and he trained in like a higher mountain.
Mm.
Yeah.
But like,
Ain't no mountain high enough
They know Valley Low.
to keep him away from Nezuko.
let's just soak in that for a bit.
Wow.
I never get these.
You
So-
never get them.
Let's
Okay, I didn't need it to be punctuated that
That
way.
was
You
rough.
never
Wow,
get them.
That was crazy. She meant it to be supportive, and I'm going to take it as
And
that.
that's
It
why
was.
it's like even
Yeah,
doesn't have. It's
yeah.
worse because
It
there's
stings.
no ill intent.
It stings.
What I was.
But this, the Sabito and Mokomo moment, so awesome. They're two kids that appear in these woods, and they're telling him that he has to split this boulder in half with his sword. And Sabito, the guy, is challenging. Challenging him, telling him that he can't keep complaining, that he needs to step up, that he needs to basically be like a man of action, or he needs to fight for what he believes in, and is really pushing Tanjiro, and Tanjiro feels like he really has to be on his level. And it goes on for months and months and months and months and months. Their fights. One of them has a wooden stick and Tanjiro has an actual blade. Months and months and months. And he gets to know Makomo, who's the little girl who tells him, who's like sort of like, they're like good cop, bad cop, and she's kind of like the good cop who's like lifting him up and like mending or tending to his wounds. And they're just awesome characters, and they have an awesome relationship. And I think at this point in the story, we're even told that they're not even brother and sister, that they're just like orphans who this same mentor figure had taken in. And so I start to think that this guy has a school that he of students that he's training to be demon slayer.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, Nezuko is just like in a coma.
Yeah,
she's
Nezuko's
down. She's out.
Yeah, she's been for like he like talking about his training. He's like, yeah, meantime I'm doing this, and Nezuko hasn't woken up for almost half a year. And I'm like, oh,
Which that feels like adding to the thing of like especially with time passing, because it's not like her condition changes or anything. It's just like until the training's done, she's just
exactly.
sleeping.
Yeah, well, they do bring it up again where it's like, because she is half human, like she can't always be using her Oni strength. Like we kind of brush past it, but they do have another fight with another demon, which is like for Tanjiro's first like time seeing an actual like demon. Yeah. And fighting him and hearing him talk to him, and that was really cool. But we see Nezuko like actually, like fend for herself. Like she kicks the demon's head off and she pushes the body, and you see that she's actually like pretty strong. And after that, she was just wiped. So they do that again later on.
Tanjiro made that little basket for her.
Yeah, that was cute. She's so cute too.
She is very cute.
Yeah, she's adorable.
And I know it bothers you that people tend to sexualize Nezuko.
Yeah, it really does. And usually, there's things, there's other lollies in the lolly-verse that I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't like it, but it's just the way this works. But Nezuko, don't do that. Don't do that to my girl. Okay, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, she's it's crazy because
oh my god, I can see them.
Oh god, don't look.
Demon Slayer's not even a wow. That was crazy.
I mean, come on, you guys. I see cosplay after cosplay.
No, that was
photo
so
shoot
funny.
after photo shoot.
Looking up cosplay to buy it for her, and just how the models are like doing like weird poses.
And it's like, okay, she does actually she can turn her body into an adult body because of the Oni, the Oni powers that it's like, no, but she's not though. But she's not though, and half of the time in the story, she's actually making herself smaller to fit into baskets and boxes. So,
oh well, now I get it. Why other people?
Wait, yeah,
whoa,
what?
That was crazy.
Wait, what?
What?
No, I'm
what
just
do you mean you get it?
Yeah, what do you mean?
No, I understand.
She went on like a whole rant about being against that, and then and then she gets smaller, and you're like, oh, I get it now.
No, I get why perverts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would sexualize her.
Mm-hmm.
Based on that information.
Based off that information.
And have had for some time, but being not a pervert, have never put together.
Okay.
It just it really bothers me, especially because this is such a series that doesn't have a lot of fan service and stuff. It's like you guys are trying to create something out of nothing.
Yeah, not
like,
only
you really are trying to grasp at straws.
There's no shots or angles.
No, yeah, none.
And it's also a family relationship they have. There's no, there's no romance.
Yeah. I've seen ship after ship of Nezuko and Tanjiro. Make it stop. Make it stop.
What, Tanjiro's the main?
Yeah.
Yes, brother and sister.
They
and they're like, actually,
it's the internet.
It would be actually a thing back in the day, because a lot of the time back in that century, people would marry their brothers and sisters because I'm like, okay, but they're not though.
I'm not saying that these people don't exist, and I'm not saying that these aren't arguments that people make, but what corners of the internet do you frequent? That
Me?
These conversations
I'm in the anime community, dude. I see a lot of dark stuff.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I see a lot of dark
darkest
stuff.
corner of the internet.
The darkest corner.
Right, yeah.
The weeb verse.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
The ones where you say like, yeah, I don't like how they sexualize that child, and go like, well, in Japan.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
we
like,
have
okay, sure, but then also no.
Received comments from those very same people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but it's like that's not really what it means. That's not the age of like it's with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people really they just want it to happen. And they're making any and every excuse.
Shipping family members is an interesting. But then it's like, that shows how like little there is in this series, that they just have to be like,
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
With her brother, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
'Cause I guess who else would it be, with the goblin guy?
No, there's Zenitsu and Nezuko. Like Zenitsu, like
the warhog?
Yeah, no, Zenitsu's the electricity lightning guy.
Oh.
With the blonde hair. But he's just such a, oh my God. He is, I mean, I guess,
There is a little romance later on, actually, now that I think about it.
Okay. I mean, he's
Whoa.
just, I mean,
oh,
he's just so,
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I wasn't directed towards you. It was
not
directed towards,
I'm talking about Tanjiro.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that for him.
Whoa,
but I don't
you
like
shot it down before I could even say
Zenitsu,
who.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's the character who comes in and he's so obsessed with Nezuko, but he just screams about how obsessed he is with Nezuko like all the time, and is the character that is like a coward. But when he's really needed, or when it really counts, or when the moment is right, he becomes like the most powerful demon slayer. Not the most. I'm being hyperbolic to make my point.
Yeah,
but
because you can't.
I can't even do that.
You can't
I
exaggerate.
can't even do that. But he becomes strong and, is able to defeat these like high-ranking demons. But it is just like, I don't know. Who cares? He is such an annoying character. And I mean,
I like this.
I love Tanjiro. I even will probably like Inosuke, because the arc that I was on before recording this episode, like around episode 18, 19 with the spider demons, if you know enough about that to know.
That's when it sold me fully. Like that's
Inosuke
when I knew I liked
starts
it.
to win me over, but not Zenitsu. And this is after even a little bit of backstory.
Yeah,
about him, too.
You did see the backstory of him, and I remember being like, oh, I get it now.
And I was like,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Now this training session.
Oh yeah, right.
He's like, you need to have more passion. You need to hit me. Don't
Hit
try,
me.
Don't try to hit me. Hit me.
Hit me.
Yeah.
Hit me, see?
Yeah.
Hit my mask, and he does it.
Hit my mask.
And then what is the
Slices
mask?
What is the mask?
What is the mask, Megan? When the mask shatters, what do we see? We see
His face.
We see his face.
It's a
And
beautiful
it
panel.
looks so melancholic, just like happy but sad.
The emotion.
The emotion is well portrayed. If you want to show that to the people, I drew him.
You did a really good drawing. Let's see if that shows up. But talk while I show it.
Yeah, I drew him. I remember in the anime, that part really like hit me, because it was just like, later on when you find out what is actually going on with these people, you're like, oh, that's why.
Well, yeah, I mean, the emotion conveyed in that panel is so, like you said, it's so many emotions. It's soft, it's sad, it's somber, it's everything. And it's a testament to the manga's art. And I think the anime, because it's so good and so praised, the manga, I think, doesn't get any praise for its art. If anything, I think people often will say, oh, the anime is such an improvement, which as a artist, like, that can't feel great. Like, to be like, oh no, this is good because they look so much better. I mean, on one hand, you're like, it's my story, I wrote it, thank you. But I do find a charm, and I do really like the hatchiness and the line work of the manga.
Yeah, the art style is not bad, and you are like, I mean, yeah, this person is also drawing it while writing it, and it's like, this is their product, which that's like the charm for me, especially with like, One Punch Man, where you're like, yeah, it's like pretty, there's not good at all. Yeah. But that's part of it. Yeah. That like, this is this person's story.
Yeah. And even when I think with mangaka like One, I think that he is more like that is part of his style. That is part of his shtick, I want to say, right? But I imagine with other mangaka, for them to hear those things and to maybe feel like, I mean, I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's not easy to make a manga, to draw a manga. But, no. Anyway, yeah. So the mask gets sliced in half. We see his face, and then it's revealed that the mask was actually the boulder. And how symbolic that is, how amazing that is, and how that leads us into the reveal that these characters, and Tanjiro doesn't even understand it when it happens, but I think at least I think all of us understand it.
They were spooky ghosts.
They were spooky ghosts, absolutely.
And that's when I didn't realize this was a horror story.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god,
they were ghosts the whole time.
Very.
I remembered it.
I was like, I knew there were demons, but I didn't know there were ghosts.
Get out of here.
And it's it was that moment that made me feel like this is what everybody loved Demon Slayer for, because it was going to have many more moments like this. And not to say that it doesn't, but to me, nothing hit me as much as this did because of how emotional it was. And Tanjiro goes back and tells, his mentor that he was able to do what he sent him to do, which was slice that boulder. The mentor says, like, I never expected you to do that. I wasn't going to let you.
Yeah, I forgot about his training thing. Like, after the montage, it goes, now I'm done. I taught you everything. Now cut the boulder in half.
Yeah. Yeah. And he does it, and he's like, oh, I didn't expect you to do it. But now that you have, you can go now.
And I don't you know, I don't know if he knows that they're like sentient ghosts, because we get that little panel where he's like, "How do you know their names?"
Well, he doesn't know that they're ghosts at all.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
he's like,
He
yeah.
thinks they're real people.
So then
still.
him saying, "I want you to cut this boulder." He knew he could never do it because he didn't want to experience that pain again.
Yeah, that's his like.
That's what made that moment so awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, and tell that guy and girl that I said thanks. That guy and girl, what do you?
How do you know what?
Well, what?
They're dead.
They died like 40 years ago.
Well, I mean, I think it was like 5, 6 years.
And then he hugs him too. Like they have a good relationship.
Yeah.
Like it was really nice.
It's the highlight for me of volume 1 and of season 1, kind of. Even though I've only seen 18 episodes of season 1. But he sets off to go to this
Demon Academy exam.
The tuning exams, which is what we call it in Naruto.
Yeah, what is it actually called?
The hunter exams. The what's it called in
Hero exam?
In My Hero, yeah.
The magic exam from Black Clover.
Probably, yeah. I think it is called something like
Is
that.
it really?
Not that, like the magic selection.
Oh,
I think it's the final
Countdown.
Final
selection.
Oh.
selection.
Wait, it's the final selection?
Final
In which
selection.
one?
Oh, Demon Slayer.
Oh.
He sets off. He goes to this mountain that has, and I forget. I should have wrote it down. The name of the flowers, but they on the base or surrounding the base, and I guess different parts of this mountain are this special type of flower that blossoms. That
Wisteria.
The mysteria.
Wisteria.
Wisteria.
Wisteria
They're
flowers.
very mysterious. And they keep demons at bay or away or weaken them. And don't.
That was great.
Thank you, but I feel like it wasn't that great.
It wasn't.
Okay.
But
I'm
thank you.
agreeing with you. I'm on your side.
Yeah, I know. But I'm gonna choose to feel good about it.
What?
What?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
You can do that?
You can. Sometimes people can see right through it though.
Like
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the little detail that demons can only be killed with like a certain
I like that.
sword. And it's like they have a weak point, and that's because you saw that demon fight we missed where the head was kicked off, and it's able to make arms, but it was like limited in like how many arms it could make, like how big they could be. And, like unless it's this type of sword, they'll just sort of put themselves back together.
Yeah. And
Which makes sense for there being a demon core at all. Because at first, like, well, it looks like he's doing great, and he's a kid, so
yeah. And also too with the testing grounds, the final selection, I wondered or expected maybe because of how many shonen I had seen before that this was going to be a whole arc, but it really is just like, all right, so the test is
survive.
Yeah, survive.
Objective survive for what was it, like 3 days?
7
days.
Yeah. And like no matter what happens on this mountain, as long as you're alive, you made it. You passed. Which also might not be the best way to get the most morally
sound people.
Individual.
And in fact, you get, cowards can end up surviving more than heroic figures could, based on a very close call that just happened, or will happen soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many shonen pull off exams well, I feel. Even My Hero, as an example, kind of like to the point where they talk about it later and they're like, oh yeah, it was bad, but I feel like that comes after the reaction that people had when it was an in-universe thing.
I feel like the Naruto exams, like early Naruto has a lot of flaws, but I feel like the Chunin exams, I feel like were really good.
Would it be too much of a what do you call it? Segue? Tangent?
Yes.
To talk about what the Naruto exams do?
They do kind of what I think My Hero does later, because the initial, I think, My Hero, and maybe the initial My Hero exams, maybe they did this too.
If you don't know, the My Hero exams are you have to beat up a bunch of robots.
Yeah, but I feel like My Hero really does it later so much better where they fight, it's Class A versus Class B. That whole training arc, that's what the Chunin exams are. So it's pitting these kids against other kids. And it's a great way to not only to introduce characters 2 at a time, but to show each character's abilities and how they handle combat mentally. And so it is just like a ranking system where, a tournament based
So
system.
Naruto has that as the entry exam?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You say, the My Hero exams where it was, those were like all very well executed.
Yeah.
Except for like the part at the end. I was like, oh,
Yeah, you mean
But,
the
like-
robot one where they have to fight and then something goes wrong, right? Isn't there like a
Yeah,
villain that actually comes in? Or something?
program like later, yeah, they were doing another exam where they had like simulated things, but the first exam to get entered is you have to be able to beat up and then but some of the people who pass, you're like, there's no way you could beat up a robot.
Yeah.
And then
well, One Punch Man has one too.
The what was they had to do like a physical exam,
Mhm.
and then did they have to fight anyone?
I think they had to do like a simulation, right?
I think so. And also
I
too, before
forget.
I get come at in the comments, that is
Don't you just hate it when the
Yeah.
You
when
get
the comments
come at?
come at you?
all the time. Can't stop it from
You're
happening.
just soaking in it, man.
But that is the tune. So the first exam that in the Naruto universe you have to take to become a ninja is just a written exam.
Hmm.
And then after that, the tuning exam to get higher up to be like one of the stronger, which is the first real exam we see. That is the tuning exam. So,
Okay.
It's already too late.
You're
Thank you for
already
being here.
Well, that was
Yeah.
you're getting cummed at, man.
You're getting-
I can't, dude. I can't.
you can't help it.
Look at them go. They're
It's
coming
a
at you right
constant
now.
come
Yeah.
I
battle.
know, dude. And it, sometimes I walk away from these episodes. Yeah, I covered in it, really.
Covered in it.
And I try to cover
like
my
you-
ass, but
Yeah, but it gets it gets to you.
It still gets to me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like you open your mouth and you're just getting cummed at.
yeah. I
With the
I can't-
comments.
Yeah, with the comments. That's
Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
right?
I'm sorry to anyone listening to that.
But this, we don't even get to see the end necessarily of this exam, but we do know.
I thought it ended on a good hook.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we do know that once we don't really get character introductions, but we do see characters that are going to become a bigger part of the story later. But it starts with Tanjiro going off into the woods. He meets these two demons that are easier to kill than the demon that the volume.
Yeah, they
ends
just seemed
on.
like normal folks that were
Yeah.
demons, and they're just like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," and it's like,
They seem to be like what
"That's
was
what's
supposed to
yeah.
be there. Yeah, yeah.
And I guess they just forgot. They don't do like a sweep.
That's what I'm saying. Is
at
that-
the end to make sure that nothing got out of hand in his because I would agree that having like if they're like oh there's like a bunch of those things, and if you've been trained to how to fight them, you'll be good.
Yeah.
And then but then that thing is like that seems like it ruins the exam, like it's logic to me.
Yeah, and maybe that has been a big part of like obviously, oh well, that's kind of a spoiler, but like that might be affecting the exams, like that thing that's been there, because they do mention like, oh, demons do are strong as how many people they've killed. So that guy's been there for
Yeah, so there's like a conglomerate demon that
Mhm.
like it's like, oh yeah, I've killed like 50 of these examinees. I'm like, yeah, you guys, that's like that seems like a huge flaw in the system.
Mhm.
And then he's like, and I specifically I go after the guys with the fox mask because that guy is because what they do is they'll capture demons and like throw them into that
Yeah.
that thing for exams. And he's like, yeah, I just kill all these.
And his mentor was the one that captured him and threw him in there, so he goes after all his proteges or students or whatever.
yeah, and it's two of those proteges.
What?
Nothing.
I felt like I spoiled something the way Megan looked at me.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Volume 1.
It does.
Yeah, they mention it.
Do they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he mentions it. Like
He
it-
mentions the fox mask, but I don't think he mentions going
Yeah, no,
after.
It does.
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
one,
maybe I missed that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
one little like bubble.
Oh,
and it's an
okay.
asterisk, but I think he's listing.
Oh.
He's like bragging, and he goes and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They don't stress it too much because he's
Yeah.
mostly worried about dying.
And they even reveal to Tanjiro that he killed the two of them.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Tanjiro, I think, has that moment of like, oh my God.
Yeah, but obviously that kind of overtakes because like you only see those two, you don't see the other 50.
Yeah.
They don't stress or really mourn them that much.
Well,
Yeah.
she says like, oh, there's more kids that support you or whatever, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
the
And,
school.
and it even cuts back to them, like, sitting on the rock, that same boulder, and sort of,
like this was the biggest boulder. This was bigger than the boulder I cut.
yeah.
I did like the thing too, where they like, cause he's talking about it. He's like, yeah, that kid, he did get a good hit on me, but I was able to like do a surprise thing on him.
Yeah. And I like the conversation where he says too, where she's asking him like, is Tanjiro going to make it? Is Tanjiro going to do it? And it is just like, and one of the other kids helps him. I believe is also a ghost kid who helps him, like calls him brother, basically like you're you are fighting for all of us. Like, we all died and we're killed by this guy. You're the strongest one of us so far. Like, you know, you're there for our family. So help us, brother, like defeat this thing. Like, that was a really cool moment as well. And then the volume really ends on Tanjiro taking, I think you see the water style sort of attack for the very first time at the end of like the very end of the volume.
I think you see it when he does kill those demons the first time too.
Oh,
if
right.
I'm not
right,
mistaken.
Right. Yeah, probably right. You're probably very right. And so it ends, the volume ends on Tanjiro like basically going to cut the demon, and you don't know if it was successful or not.
And you do get the thing where Tanjiro saved like another examiner who's like, and now's my time to run away.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, okay, so if he survives, I feel like, so a lot of exams don't make sense. I mean, in society too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could cheat on
Yeah,
all
but
those exams.
it's like, the exam is important, but what comes after the exam is important too. It's like they're not going to make it very far if they just got by hiding during the exam. Like, their next mission, they're probably gonna die. Like, if they're not like legit. So I think it does weed out the people that are like, you know, obviously way too weak. I mean, it's like really fucked up because they're all kids. But it weeds out the people that are weak, or weeds out the people that are trying to get by cutting corners. Like, you have to be hands on, head on with like fighting these things and making decisions that you know, move you forward and whatever. But
and that is pretty much the end of the first volume. Great first volume, I think. I think the manga for me was a lot more. I had a more enjoyable experience reading the first volume than I did watching the first couple episodes the first time I did. But what do you guys? How do you guys feel? What did you guys think? And Megan, I know you're for the most part caught up and planning on watching season 2. But
yes.
Cody, where are you at after all this?
I found the anime to be more enjoyable. It took advantage of its medium a lot more, and because there's some animes that aren't better than mangas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this, the pacing in the manga felt worse than in the anime. Like, I didn't have any issues with pacing in the anime, but reading, I don't know. I feel like it skipped over parts as far like or like well, you basically like you get it, and then like we're moving on now. Definitely the middle. And then the end is where like the story got interesting.
Do you think it's something that you would ever continue, or you said at the beginning of this that you feel like it's just not for you?
I don't. It's not something I actively hate like Black Clover. It's just something that I gave it. You know, I watched.
You watched like 15 episodes.
Did I get that far?
Maybe.
Yeah, in my head it's
I think
14
maybe like
or
14.
Yeah.
I try to give everything a minimum of 2 episodes if it's a show.
So yeah, you watched a
and
good
then
amount.
I watched it and it wasn't. I didn't end on like all right. I just ended on like I'm gonna watch something else now.
Yeah.
And then I just never got back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like it's just not something that is some for me.
Yeah.
Megan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm super excited. There's like a first for an hour episode of the second season. I'm like halfway through, and it just really like reignited my love for the series because, you know, it's been on kind of not hiatus, but I watched Mugen Train and I really liked it, and that made me excited again, and then I kind of lost my excitement again. And it is mainly because of like, I think, like the overhype and like the fandoms and like all that shit that shouldn't be involved in how you feel about a series in general kind of just like discouraged me. And reading it and watching a couple episodes, I'm just like, I really did love this when it came out. Like, I was really excited to see what happens or like what's going to happen, and knowing there might be like to the manga getting adapted, there might be like 2 more seasons or like maybe another movie or something.
Yeah, because the manga is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a clear goal in the beginning.
Yeah,
so,
and I think you said in its totality it's only like 23 volumes.
I think so. I don't think it'll be picked up again. Correct us if we're wrong, but I do think it's complete.
There's
23 volumes. Yeah.
The world is easy setup for a spin-off or side story or
Yeah,
something.
for sure.
Oh yeah. Definitely. But yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, this is a series that I would recommend over and over again, especially for new anime watchers. I think it's like a perfect pick because if you like action, it has action. If you like character moments, it does that. There are anime-y tropes in it, so if you're not a fan of that, Hopefully the story will help you like not really notice it too much like it did for me, but I do enjoy it. I can't stress it enough. I love demons. I'm a demon and I'm a demon head, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, look, for me, like, whether, I like it or not, Demon Slayer is, like I said in the beginning, undeniable. I want to understand it more. I want to like it more. And to your Black Clover point that you've made on previous episodes about how it was this series that everybody told you had to get into, and you tried, and they said, oh, it doesn't get good until this episode and that episode and this episode and then that episode. For me with Demon Slayer, I had never not wanted to be a part of the fandom and like what everybody else liked and loved about the show. But I did put it way, way, way on the back burner until, in preparation for this episode, watched multiple videos and heard someone say that it wasn't until episode 19 that they really understood what this show was. So I started watching again, and I'm on episode 18 now, and I'm almost at episode 19. And so I really do hope that maybe I will get it. And if I don't, I think I might be done.
Yeah,
but I will read it. I do want to read it.
That's the thing, is I don't want to not like things. It's like I'm just like, for people who are like, it's an alien mindset to me of like, well, keep at it, and then like when you hit this point, then you should like it. Where I'm like, I mean, there's other stories I want to keep continuing that got me to like it from the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I have a lot of stories I want to keep going through. So it's like, that's where it's like Demon Slayer, I didn't drop it out of hate. I just dropped it out of like, there's other stuff I want to pay attention that I feel did a better job geting me hooked from the get-go.
And of course, you shouldn't have to say this, but of course on YouTube you do. It is personal preference. Which seems like an obvious thing to say, but for me, I loved reading the manga. I loved that experience. I would like to keep reading it. I'm probably going to finish season 1, and depending on how I feel, I will possibly
give me your report and see if you are like, no, because apparently your estimate is I got to 14.
Yeah.
It was like years ago.
Because we went through it today.
It's funny that we watched that video and it said 19 was like the first, like when they got it, because I was kind of like, I would like miss episodes and then I'd binge them because I was just kind of not really feeling it too much. I was like, yeah, okay. And then when this kind of like mini spider arc started happening, I was like, okay, like I understand, like I want to keep watching. And then to the end of the first season, like it really pumps up things and creates like more stakes to what the situation is. And then like Mugen Train, I think you can watch Mugen Train without really knowing a whole lot about it.
You just ignited.
No, but they do a little recap in the beginning.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, just
they do it.
I believe you.
They do a recap of like the first season in the movie, so you do get a little bit more
Mugen
in the Mugen movie. You do get more context, and to each his own. I personally wouldn't watch it if I didn't watch the first season. That's just me.
Good job covering.
But if you don't care and you're like, I want to see, it's a well-renowned movie.
It's a global phenomenon.
Global phenomenon. Yeah. If you want to watch it, just watch it. And then maybe go back and watch the first season if it's something that interests you, if you like the characters enough to do that.
There's some stories that like when they have their own separate thing, I kind of enjoy it looking at it from that perspective when I don't get the... Because if they pull it off well, they just make the origin a mystery, and then it just feels to you like that's a prequel. Like the Gantz movie does that, where it's just like it doesn't give you any of the setup, but you are like, oh, here's still the world.
Here's the situation. Yeah.
And we imply things. If you get it and you enjoy it on this level, if you don't, you're like, oh, what intrigue.
Yeah. So I think we've all been very clear about how we feel about Demon Slayer. Obviously, it's an amazing series. Obviously, if you haven't at least checked it out, I think you should at least check it out and decide for yourself if it's for you or not. Let us know how you feel about Demon Slayer in the comments down below, what your experience with it was. That's always very, very, very interesting to hear. But I think that's going to do it for our Demon Slayer Volume 1 discussion. But we're not done yet. Now we move on to a segment on our show called The Water's Circle.
The Water's Circler.
The Waterler's Circler.
Waterler's Circler.
Where Volume 1, Chan, our beautiful AI, she spends a lot of time really digging through those comments. She finds comments that you've left on previous videos. She finds a couple. She reads them aloud and we respond to them. So if you want one of your comments read by Volume 1chan in a future Wonder Circle, then all you got to do is leave a comment on this video or any of our previous videos.
We do our best to go through every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Even comment threads.
Yeah.
We'll go through all that.
So having said all that, Volume 1chan, can you take it away and hit us with the first comment, please?
It is I, Volume 1chan. I finally hacked into the Volume 1 hive mind for the world to see me in all my glory.
Oh.
I mean, that's cool.
Cool. So, like, is there like a? Can we get the first comment?
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's
Volume
great.
1chan.
Oh, yeah.
But can you hit us with the first comment, please?
Mason.
This one comes from Ascendant Stoic. The Berserk chapter Josh is talking about is the one involving the meeting between the idea of evil and Griffith. It can be found online if someone is interested in reading it.
Yeah, so this is from, I think, I forgot what episode this was from, but
Probably Berserk.
You know what's funny is I don't think it
You
was
don't
from
think
We've
so?
Berserk
done a lot.
episode.
I think it was
Because I
on
brought
our
it up
Attack
in,
on Titan.
Yes, in the Attack on Titan. video.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's the chapter I was talking about where Miura had written a chapter in Berserk that he felt gave too much of the world and how the world works away. And it was a chapter that you could remove and it not hurt the story at all. So he removed it or asked that it be removed. And so thank you for Ascendant Stoic.
Ascendant Stoic.
Yeah, thank you. Extended
Stoic.
Stoic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us know exactly where that was from and where people can find it. It is online if you want to check it out for yourself. But Volume 1chan, can you hit us with the next comment, please?
This one comes from Sarah Fontanini. I can't see how this guy can be redeemed. Who says he will be? Villain redemptions only became super frequent in the modern times. Back then, writers knew to just make a truly classic, irredeemable scumbag.
Oh my God.
Emphasis on the scumbag.
I guess so.
That's from the JoJo one where we were like, how are they going to redeem Dio?
Mm.
And that's because people kept telling us we would love him.
That is very true.
So I think that part was missed.
Mm.
Well, yeah, and I personally, I know that Dio. Shit, I'm trying to get better at navigating spoilers. I got something spoiled.
I know what you
For me,
I know the
yeah,
situation.
because-
I got it spoiled through just osmosis.
I got it spoiled because I was playing Jump Force recently and picked Dio as a character.
And he
or-
just says a quote that like spoils the story.
He says a quote and does a thing, and I'm like, okay, this can only mean one thing. So, having said that, I mean, I have a Dio figure right behind me. Dio's a bad guy, and I don't think he needs to be redeemed, but I still think he's kind of a badass.
When
I'm
people,
not rooting for him.
when people tell me that I'm going to like a villain, I assume that means they're going to be redeemed in some way.
You're
Yeah.
just gonna like how evil they are.
I mean, maybe because, there's with characters, and you were talking about Gilgamesh. What were you saying about Gilgamesh?
Well, the Gilgamesh, the point of the story is the guy's a very bad, who does like things that like, honestly, it's like, yeah, you couldn't have him do that in a modern adaptation. It's like actually like, some of the people would argue is irredeemable, but like the whole story is him like finding redemption, which is not even what he's trying to do. Actually, he specifically doesn't care about that.
And this is Sarah, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Sarah's credit, I don't think Sarah's coming at us at all. I think she's just, sharing a point of view that she has. And she's commented on other videos before. Sarah, we love you. And we love that you comment.
Oh yeah, Sarah's one of the here's how much of a track we keep. I butchered the phrasing. How much track we keep of comments. We saw you going through the videos and commented.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
see
yeah.
people do that every now and then. Right? All right, cool.
And we love it.
Yeah.
So we're not like, we're not arguing or fighting.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess I agree with Cody that when people do tell us that, I feel like I assume that maybe a character might get a redemption, but I don't need them to get one. They don't have to have one. And for them to be a good villain, they can just be a good villain
Mm-hmm.
and still be a horrible person.
Yeah.
But yeah. Volume 1 Chun, can you hit us with the third and final comment, please?
This one comes from Coach 8766. You kind of smell like a baka.
Well put.
And that
yeah. Well put.
Hell yeah.
I feel like there's one side of the table that enjoyed that a lot more than the other side of the table.
Classic.
I mean, it is classic, and just to hear Volume 1 Chun say it is a treat.
and a reminder that you can say funny things, and Volume 1 Chun will say those.
Yeah. But that is going to do it for our Wonders Circle. Before we go, though, we do have to shout out and thank our wonderful, amazing, beautiful Patreon members. Thank every single one of you for all of your support. We have also just recently launched our YouTube membership program, which you can get and receive all the same perks that you get and receive on Patreon. But with YouTube memberships, you get emotes and emojis and icons and badges and things like that. The trade-off, however, is I do believe Patreon is a little cheaper because of
So you're
how
saying that
cuts.
people
Who takes
save
what
money
cut.
by joining
Yes.
our Patreon.
People
if
do.
anything, they spend less money by subscribing to Patreon.
They spend less, get more
So-
bang for your buck.
So that's essentially profit that they've made
Absolutely.
just by signing the Patreon.
But you're a great salesman, dude. That is exactly what I'm saying. And so once again, thank you to all of our Patreon members.
Look at them go.
And if we have any YouTube members by the time this comes out, thank you too. But we couldn't do what we do without you, and we appreciate it. It really, really, truly helps us out and means the world to us. And if you would like to become a Patreon member, you can go to patreon.com/volume1pod. And if you'd like to become a YouTube member, all you got to do is click join on this video or any other video. Is there anything else anybody can do?
Hark. It's the algorithm core.
Okay.
Algorithm breathing technique number 2.
Okay.
I commented a period, algorithm,
This is
or anything else, and it counted as a tip.
Thank you, algorithm core. You have redeemed my soul and set it free by helping us in the algorithm.
by just commenting. That you really did all that by just leaving a comment?
The spirits are in alignment thanks to the glorious algorithm core.
Oh my God. Thank you, Algorithm Core.
So someone can join this core, but your boulder cutting is just commenting, thumbs and ups and doing that stuff.
Oh my God.
The final select should be the button that you click to send that comment out.
Or the like button, or the join button, or the subscribe button, or the bell. There's so many buttons.
It's such
Jesus
a varied
Christ.
core.
Oh my God. But thank you for your support. No matter how you choose to show it, thank you for being here, for watching and listening to the very end. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes. It never, ever, never has it not even once changed. And today, that is...
Put the Nezuko in the basket.
Love it. You had that locked. I mean, I do feel like it deserves a moment to appreciate it.
All right, cool.
Wow. Thank you for watching.
You have to say it in his voice.
Thank you for listening. And until next time, put the Nezuko in the basket. I was flip-flopping.
Yeah.
I thought I was like,
Yeah.
Target on his voice?
Buffalo Bill.
Bill.
Yeah.
So I was like,